Hello, and welcome back to Let's Play Pokemon+Nobunaga's Ambition. Our ambition today, like it was other days, is to train. That's right, we have wreaked some havoc on some nations, but before we face the so frightening Dark Nation, I do want to train up a Shinx. I realized, Eevee, I don't know how to evolve it, plain and simple. I could probably look at other videos, maybe, and perhaps understand by sight how to evolve my Eevee. But it seems to work with Oichi. It's hopefully going to work when we try to take on another nation. You don't necessarily need your pal Pokemon, your main compadre who you face with your Busho warriors, to have just Jigglypuff or just Eevee. Which I wish that I knew that sooner, because if I did, I probably wouldn't have wasted a whole episode being pwned by the fighting nation. Just saying. Well, it's okay. This is some of the hilarities, it must be a hilarity, because if it is anything else, we're only hurting ourselves. But we should make light of a shitty situation. That's the way it works in a Japanese import. You don't know everything that's going on, so that kind of adds mystery and hilarity to the fail episodes that could have been easily avoided by reading. It just proves how fundamental reading is. It's really interesting. It's almost like a different type of challenge when you go for an import game. Instead of getting a higher difficulty or different levels, you suddenly become illiterate, and you cannot fix this the entire game. The whole game, you remain illiterate. You have no clue what the hell's going on. You can see some things are happening. You can maybe extrapolate by gestures that characters are doing, but overall, you don't know. What does that say? What are we going into battle? I suppose so, because we fight after this 10 something. I don't know what that something is. I'm going to assume turns. But you have to see how someone who is illiterate, how that mindset works. It's really kind of interesting, especially considering in my country, America, we have a really high illiteracy level. And it's interesting because America is supposed to be a developed nation, but I could see definitely how people could stay illiterate, even who are in the public school system. I mean, really, it's a matter of being inspired or not and having too many shackles on you if you're going to be someone who reads. And then there's just plain the people who didn't have the opportunity in this country, who didn't get the education, who lived in a down-and-out area, who really got a raw set of the deals. Oh, we're just one space away. And they're illiterate too, and that really disables everyone. People don't understand. If someone is illiterate, they have to go to heightened measures to get what they need from the system, and it's not going to be, the easiest method, because they have to do it in a roundabout kind of clunky method, as we're doing here in Nobunaga's Ambition, the Japanese import, because we don't know what this game is saying to us. We don't know what strategies we really should be taking. We don't know how to properly evolve our Pokemon. If we did, I would have known how to evolve that Kadabra into an Alakazam. That guy probably would have still been on the team. And I would have evolved my Eevee. Just simple as that. But I have no clue how to do that. And people who have no clue how to read in real life, in at least the American society, and they don't know how to further careers or get into stability with money because of that, it creates a dangerment for everyone. And the way that they misuse reading, or they just, I think, go about it so poorly, is that you have to meet a certain standard if you are in the public school system. This is at least my experience here in Jersey. You have to meet a stupid standard every step of the way, and it even works that way into college. They restrict your college access by if you meet the certain standard, and you don't have any choice of what professors you have if you don't, it's strict regimentation and standardization here. And they try and shove meaningless books down our throat. Maybe they're not meaningless, but to someone our age, it was meaningless. You know what I wanted to read when I was younger? I wanted to read manga. I wanted to read things about Pokemon. And yes! Already Shinx has evolved. See? That was simple. Level up evolutions, I could do. Just keep fighting until win. Evolutions that take stones, evolutions that take certain region areas to level up in, I'm clueless. But if they just let me, at the time, read what I wanted to read, I remember every day I would bring a strategy book, and they'd be like, that's not the book you should be reading, that's not the book that belongs in class, put that away. It's about video games. All my life I was told, don't read strategy guides, don't do this, don't read that. Read this. Read this boring piece of shit. Whatever it is. I don't even know. It's some thespian kind of thing. It's some, wow, talk about drawing a blank. Shakespeare. Thank you. Some Shakespearean stupid novel or poem that is archaic in its symbolism because we don't speak that way anymore. And we're curious about what's going on now. At least I am. I'm curious about what's going on in science. I read Discover magazine. I'm curious about what's going on in the tech industry, especially in gaming. But back then, I was thwarted from reading any of those things. And by that action of thwarting my pure passion for what it was that I wanted to look up, okay, these mofos are going down. See, this is what happens when you dilly-dally on taking out a dark nation or any other nation. They start to think you're weak. But we'll show them who's weak. But by doing that, restricting what I wanted to read, they made me stupider. They made me lose interest in reading overall. Reading became a chore. It was boring. It was something that I couldn't imagine ever completing anything if it required reading. Just because it was so monotonous and it was so drained out of me. But when I got the Kindle, I know this sounds like a big advertisement campaign for the Kindle, but basically it was the stop of force-fed reading, because by the time I got the Kindle I was out of high school. And it was the start of having complete access and choice into what I wanted to read. PDF scans of manga that I've been reading over the years suddenly appeared again. I read through all those. Entire series that I thought I had read through but only read through part of, I went back and read those. I finally read both Jurassic Park books, because I had access to it and the opportunity to, not being burdened down by meaningless homework that just bored us anyway and ceased us from going outside. And as I've mentioned in past episodes, especially these training episodes where we have lots of time to talk about anything, I've expressed the importance of taking people outside. Everybody needs to go outside. If you're not going outside, this is why we have such rage on roads as well, especially during that 9 to 5 hour, because those are all people living in cubicles, living in boxes, going from one box to another, that being their cubicle at work from their shitty little apartment or homestead, where they have to keep going to the job to keep that box up, but all the while they never get outside. They eat minimalist nutrition, they eat non-foods, and then they get into little smoke boxes with rubber wheels that take them to these cubicle dungeons, these places that they're forced to be in, and they have to deal with idiots on the road. I mean, it's no wonder road rage happens. But the importance of going outside is key for everyone, and so is reading. Reading is fundamental, and I definitely feel the pressure. Well, I'm going to feel the Hidorama's pressure here of being smacked with a boulder. But at least that thing is dead. Pawniard. Oof! Crushed. One shot KO. Not bad. I doubt these guys stand even a little bit of a chance. But I see that here big time. Not being able to know what's going on is a big hindrance in Nobunaga's ambition. I could be having such higher ambitions if I knew what was being said. I would know exactly why the teams are being formed, why nations are taking over. I would know exactly what I'd have to do when it came to that lion-haired guy who just randomly pops up. Oichi I could understand completely. And then I would know if she was worried or suggesting we should turn back because we're under-leveled. I could have read that! But I can't in this language. And it's kind of a funny test and realization to see what it's like if you can't read. and how debilitating is debilitating a word? Feels like it's not. We're gonna say it is. But how disabling, let's go with that, it really is when you can't read. How much more lost in the world things actually are, and how much more you have to believe things and take signs from other things that are not words. In one way, I suppose it's good in the respect that it enhances maybe your other senses, perhaps, but overall it just gets people stressed out because they can't compete with people who can read. They can't make a living amongst that, yet they still are expected to in a world of literacy. And, you know, it's a world of literacy with little opportunity. I was fortunate that as a kid I could afford mangas and Beckett magazine. You know, that was what I spent my days buying. I didn't get too many other things besides that, I guess, but some people have even less. Some people have even less of an opportunity to find even what they're interested in, and they're just shoved immediately as soon as they walk into public school, all this crap that they can't even find relevance in. You know, why not read something like Kevin Smith's Tough Shit? You know, A Fat Lazy Slob Who Did Good. That's the title of the book. I'm not insulting the man. He is a marvel. But that's a great book for anyone in K through 12 to read, I believe. It is an inspiring work. It speaks in natural language. It doesn't try to bullshit you and pamper your senses and try and refrain from cursing as if the reader couldn't handle it, thinking the readers are all immature and do not know how to react to profanity. It does. It's fucking profane. Cum jokes all over the place. It's hilarious. It's hilarious, it's great reading, and it inspires people to do what they want to do. That's what should be pushed through schools, not boring-ass Shakespeare where people don't even know what the symbolism means anymore. Speak in my fucking language, and tell me something that's true. But that's one of the best things about the internet. If people don't have the opportunity to teach themselves in monetary public means and going through college and all that other horse crap, there are emerging enough online resources, free videos, free PDFs, and great things like that to tutor yourself. And that's a big segue into the fact that my friend Vladimir Z is running a YouTube channel now. You can check him out at Vlad Z Lab Lessons, and I'll leave it a link in the description below. He's doing science on that channel, everything to do with science, and you are going to want to check it out if you are remotely interested in the subject or need it as a study material. I'll see you guys next time.